and 24 are unemployed. Many thought leaders have called youth unemployment in Africa an economic crisis. Over the past 8 years, large United Nations has been researching the root causes of Africa's rising youth unemployment, and our research shows 5 specific issues. Number one, a mismatch of skills between academia and industry requirements. Two, lack of access to job sources. Number three, lack of right type network. Number four, lack of coaching and support services. Number five, insufficient jobs available. Enter Ready for Work. Ready for Work is an immersive digital career accelerator that makes use of artificial intelligence and machine learning to equip entry-level job seekers with employment skills and help talent managers make data-driven recruitment decisions. Here's how it works. We partner with industry-leading employers and entrepreneurs in high-growth markets to design personalized project-based learning modules in finance, digital marketing, UX, UI, data science, and engineering. We recruit best-in-class entry-level job seekers and early career professionals for a 6 weeks intensive career coaching bootcamp via our digital platform, readyforwork.africa. At the end of the bootcamp, we open up the platform for our partners to onboard Ready for Work leaders for internships or full-time jobs. Ready for Work brings the needed fresh perspectives for talent development on the continent. Unlike other frameworks that major in providing loans for certification that use little benefits, Ready for Work help fellows launch fulfilling careers in high-growth companies through direct job access. On the employer side, Ready for Work is the one-stop shop for data.
Mhm.
Hello.
Yeah, hello, Tom.
Hi,
Yeah, how are you
Matthew.
doing?
I'm
Yes,
well.
Tom.
Thank
Yeah, you're doing a great job. Thanks so much for keeping up the spirit, for
thank
the
you.
endurance. In fact, I'm so impressed.
Thank you. Thank you for joining on time.
You're welcome.
All right.
I hope my
Let's roll.
sounds are so clear and everything is okay.
Yes. Please introduce yourself.
So I am Matthew Inyaba. I'm a third year PhD student. Now I would say a PhD candidate because I just um, passed my comprehensive exams. So a PhD candidate at the
Right.
University of Georgia here
Right.
in the US. Yes, and but before I came here, I was a teacher in Ghana. I taught as a K-12 teacher for some time. I also taught as a tutor at the College of Education. I moved on to the university to teach as an assistant lecturer. And then finally, I found myself here. Here, I started as a graduate teaching assistant in a teacher education program. And then recently, I have been considered to be a research assistant. And God being so good, I'm working in two institutions. So my department, as well as a center that's AI for STEM. So I'm a research assistant in my department and a research assistant at the AI for STEM. So somehow, some way, cross interdisciplinary, putting things together.
That's interesting. Okay. Well, it's good to have you here. I know you did want to change your topic. So would you want to tell more about the research that you published recently?
Yeah, we can. I think I was thinking we can just even go ahead with the initial one, and then I'll come
Okay.
in with the other one, so that I'll have to, depending on which one that you want us to talk about. So
Right.
I am into AI since 2023 at the beginning. The
Right.
emergence of ChatGPT that I started following AI. And then, as I mentioned earlier on, my research interest has always been in emerging technologies, even way back my undergraduate studies at the University of Education, Winneba. My first degree research was in emerging technology. I look at open educational resources from the teacher education um, uh, resource, open resource, TESA in Africa. That was my research. I look at how we can use the models to teach science at the JHS level. And then I proceeded in conducting research at my master's level at the same university, University of Education, Winneba, where I looked at my research was on the open educational resource, and then it was conducted on teachers, science teachers, looking at how they're using the open educational resource in teaching. So if you look at my track records and my research history, it has always been emerging technologies. So coming here at the University of Georgia, my research focus was still on emerging technology. But then initially, I was struggling to find out which emerging technology I should focus on. So my advisor, through some discussions, recommended VR, the virtual reality. So I started with VR before I moved on to AI. Yes, so I have been working on AI ever since. And then my topic that I want to discuss is culture and then context specific. I am also open to discuss about AI, the role that it can play when it comes to teacher education, because I've had a long-standing experience with Ghana teaching the teacher education program, especially when we introduced the first 4-year Bachelor of Education for the teacher education program. I was part of the first cohort, and that we started the program. So I'm open to anything. Yeah.
Well, let's go with the role of generative AI in transforming teacher education. in developing countries. So first of all, for those who might not understand, would you want to define generative AI for everybody?
Okay. So AI is really a broader term. When we're talking about AI, almost everyone is talking about it, yes. So out of AI, we have different versions of AI, and I am more into the generative AI. So we have ANI, we have artificial narrow intelligence. We have some of the applications that they are trained specifically to perform specific tasks, something like image generation, some test or maybe translation, they are just trained for that. And then for the generative AI, like the chat GPT, is trained broadly that way you'll be able to converse with it. It gives you answers based on the prompts you give. So you give a prompt, if and only if it has been trained, it has the data, it will produce it for you. And it's, even though it started with a test to test, at the moment it's able to work on images. And then even now it has embedded some audio as part of it. So generative AI really encompasses the ChatGPT, the Gemini, the Copilot, those that when you ask questions, it will be able to synthesize and give you an answer. That is where my focus has been. And my focus has been because it's like generative AI brought in the whole conversation of AI as a tsunami, like something like a tsunami. After the release of ChatGPT, the talk of AI became so prominent. So I'm looking at how we can use this tool to enhance education, to enhance teaching and learning, as well as assessment and even research. So generative AI is more of the tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, that you can converse with, can help you with your day-to-day activities. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, so now we are talking about how it can be used in the classroom, to transform teacher education.
Exactly.
So now the question is, do you think is even essential for teachers? And if so, what are the processes? So I guess this is the main thrust of your conversation, correct?
Exactly.
All
Exactly.
right, over to you.
Exactly. This is a good question. Very good one. It has been a talk of generative AI and AI since its release. So AI, it has its pitfalls and potentials. And then, as I mentioned earlier on, the conversations about AI, it's just a swing. We have people who are still skeptical about using AI in education. And then people have concerns about the risk involved. People have concerns about the ethics, privacy. People have a whole lot of concerns. And then if you should ask me, as we're conversing here, I would say that the concerns are so genuine and they are so legal. They are rightful concerns that we need to pay attention to. But then we shouldn't also look at the other aspect of generative AI being able to help. It has that two-edged sword that it can cut both sides. So it depends on us, we, the users, to choose which way we want to go. If we want to use it for the positive side, then we will get it. So I am particular about teacher education because if you look at education system, then I would say that the nitty-gritty of education should really start from maybe teacher educators. The way they are trained is how the assumption goes with them that they will go to the field and teach the same way. So if you are complaining about K-12 education like kindergarten, we are complaining about maybe upper grade JHS that they are not doing well, then we would have to have a question of how are their teachers being trained. So, and then also having had experience in teacher education, there are few studies that we conducted. We conducted some studies on the teacher education level, even though they have not been introduced when it comes to AI. But I'm telling you that the studies that we conducted, these studies shows that pre-service teachers are already using it in their teaching and in their learning. So it is something that is so open that everybody have access to it. So they're already using it. And now we need to rethink about how we can use it. So it's so important for us to start talking about it and looking at the ways that it can contribute. And then
Okay.
if you have questions about the roles, the particular roles, I'll go into them one after the other.
Yeah. So the question is the practicalities of how teachers can use generative AI to improve their operation, because the concern that some people have is that it might be, at the end of the day, it might be like AI talking to AI, right? So what does your research say on the contrary?
So my research somehow confirms that some of the research we have conducted, the participants, even including the students, are having concerns about AI, and then they are not too sure about it, and they don't have the confidence in using it because of inaccuracies. The practicality of AI is that we need to see it as a tool, because as it stands now, we have technology in education, and then technology in education has been with us. And anything that is new that comes, it's up to us to decide on how we are going to put it into practice. So the practicalities is, first of all, let's see it as a tool. When we see it as a tool, then we will start with how we can integrate it in the educational system. So first, we need AI literacy. People need to understand what AI is. They need to have that kind of understanding, know the ethics of AI, what governs AI, and they should be able to know how to prompt what they are looking for and understand that AI is there as a tool to support them and not to replace their thinking, not to replace their creativity, only to support them. So we need an introduction of AI first of all for people to understand, to know how to use it. And teachers can use it. They've asked people, they are using it. Myself, I use it. People use it because they are not confident. They don't come out to tell, but they use it in different ways, in grammar check, in ideation, a whole lot. So once we're using it, let's look at how we can make it a course to maybe start using it better and embrace it.
Okay, so just for emphasis, could you give the checklist again, how teachers can use Gen AI to improve operation and efficiency, right?
Yes, or efficiency. Okay. So at the moment, the key function of generative AI is a large language model. And as a large language model, it supports content knowledge.
Yeah. So
And
content
yeah,
design or
so yes, it support content knowledge. That is one. And then two, for teacher candidates, they can use it for their lesson planning as well.
lesson planning.
Yes, we have teachers who are using it for automatic assessment generation. That is another area of my research. And we have some who are using it for automatic scoring, for personalized learning, and others use it for material resources and activities, even in teaching, you know. So all these areas, when you look at the aspect of education, teacher education, almost every component or element of it, AI seems to have a role to play. And then the other role of AI, which I will always say it is an indirect, is a ripple effect of AI or cascading effect of AI, is that it has the power to change the way and manner we teach. It has that power to change the way and manner we assess our students now. And these should be considered as part of the rules of AI, you know. So, for example, if I should also ask a question about the Ghana education system, for instance, if you should ask how are assessments being conducted, I know you are familiar with that. How do we conduct assessments in Ghana education system? Largely, what kind of content? Like, do we conduct assessment involving practical or more theory or content based? How is it being done? Or the major assessment that we even conduct in our system, like the WASI, it focuses on which aspect of education, you know. So if I should ask that question, I think you'll be able to give me just a blink of an answer.
Well,
So, okay.
go on, please. Go on.
Okay. So I was thinking you wanted to add, maybe give me that answer. But so our assessments has always been on the standardized assessment and then content based. And that is how we assessed our students. And we all know that standardized assessment and content based assessment has never been the ideal tool to assess the capability and the potentials of students to date. But then we always resort to it because we don't have other means. When you say we shouldn't use it, people ask you, then how do we go? Because the way we teach, we focus on the content, you know. So since we focus on content, then we will end up assessing only the content. But AI comes in to support content knowledge, students can use it. Then it will reduce the amount of time we spend on teaching content. So this is just an example of its ripple effect or the cascading effect of using it in education. Yeah.
That's wonderful. All right, let's talk about the other areas that people need to also be aware of. What do you think are the the negatives, if I should use that word?
Yes.
Because obviously it's not like it's going to be all positive and without any cause for concern. So
exactly.
what is it that people should take into consideration as they do all of those processes?
Yeah. So I think that has really been the major talk of the year, and then since the emergence of even ChatGPT, the negatives are the weak side that I would say the pitfalls. Recently, we conducted a study on digital neocolonialism in the era of AI. And then as part of it, we looked at the biases that exist within these AI systems. We also looked at the digital divide when it comes to maybe the usage. Not everybody will have access to it. And then, so first, let me just begin with the biases. So with the biases, we're saying that the AI doesn't represent everyone. The data that have been used to train these systems, they are so limited. And even the people behind it, or the big tech guys, they are not representative of every culture in every region. So there's limitations on AI. And we can just have an example like languages. We have a whole lot of languages in the world, but AI cannot translate all of them. And it's able to translate others. And even at the moment, it is so westernized because if I go to the AI platform alone without doing anything, everything is English. There is nothing like OpenAI, for instance. There is no place like, oh, click here and have Spanish. Click here for the interface to change into Tree or change into Swahili. It is English. So imagine those who speak other language and then read other language other than English. How are they going to access that? So it creates that divide, and that is it. And then there are also biases. You know, the biases are the prejudice. The biases are the limited knowledge that have been used to train it, or what is already existing in the world. That people use AI to prompt, and unfortunately, they prompt and it generates content that are not really, really true, not authentic and doesn't represent the context or the culture that they prompted. So example, we prompted AI to find out between a road network in Pakistan and a road network in the United States. It was able to generate a nice road network for the United States, but for the road network in Pakistan, you wouldn't like it. And that was not representative of the best road network in Pakistan. So imagine someone who has never been to Pakistan and you generate that picture for the person. The person consumes that knowledge, picks it up, and think that this is the road network in Pakistan.
Yeah.
So these are some of the things that authors and then people are so concerned about, and they feel a bit so skeptical about using AI, and it's all part of it negative. And then if you want me to talk more about the digital divide, I can expand that one a little bit as well.
Well, yeah, the question becomes, obviously the merits outweighs the demerits in terms of participation, but there must, of course, be guardrails to ensure that while we seek to get or to rather participate in where the world is going, we don't discount those obvious issues that you've highlighted. And yeah, as you've said already, it's an ongoing conversation. All through this week, we've been having that same conversation with the different speakers that have, talked and spoken on AI and its usefulness. Yesterday we had Clara, and she also talked about,
Lynn, right?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. I follow it.
Yeah. So the problem is that we don't have context-based tools that originated from outside of the world. But I
Okay.
think that might change very soon. So my next question for you is, you've done the research and you've presented your paper. So what next? Yeah.
Okay. So there are recommendations.
Okay.
There are recommendations for policy makers and then for stakeholders involved in education, particularly with the role of AI that in teacher education, as I mentioned there's recommendation to scaffold the integration of AI in teacher education. And then
Yeah.
the recommendation is, first of all, we looked at AI literacy, which I mentioned, and
Yeah.
also looked at prompt engineering as part of AI literacy, and then the ethics of AI. And then you mentioned something about context, very, very important. Everybody is talking about how to localize AI. And we also have issues about explainable AI. We don't really know what happens behind and where it gets its data from. So the context-based AI, I'm still thinking about it in a country like our own, like Ghana, that we don't even have the expertise. We just don't even have the data. When are we going to transcribe certain data and to train them? I've seen few movements like AI Ghana. I have seen some people trying to do hackathons to train models, but it will take a lot of time for us to get there. So I am of the view that the existing AI, the big tech AI, at the moment, OpenAI is leading with the highest data, over 45 billion something trained data. How do we use good prompting and customization to access search in our usage? And that is another area that I and my research is learning towards, like culture and context specific AI, where I use prompting and customization to get AI to do what I want. The little data that I have, I will be able to feed it into the AI system, and it to interact with my data If it is about some PDF, or I train it how it should talk to me because it is GI and then GO, garbage in, garbage out. What you put in with what comes to you, right? Yeah, so all these are part of it. So the recommendation has been there for teachers, and then also hoping that we will be able to do something with prompt engineering as well.
That's nice. You went to school in Ghana here, correct?
Yeah, my first degree and second degree in Ghana.
Right. And then you are doing the third degree in the US.
In the US, yeah.
We like collecting degrees, eh? We black folks.
Yeah, I would say yes and not 2 years. I would say yes and not 2 years because my class, I'm the only, I think my cohort, I'm the only black. So
Okay.
yeah, I would say yes and not 2 years. But we
Okay.
focus more on degree more than maybe skills, the skill set in Ghana, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Okay, so my journey in education, I told you I've been a teacher. So when I completed, I did my national service at my department. They usually will call you teaching assistant. So I did that and then I completed. My first teaching was at the Learning Hive International at Jowulu. So Jowulu was an inclusive school where we do more of the practical activities with students, you know, and it was an international school. So I moved from there and I moved to another international school that was also funded by some group from the United States and then a Reverend Father. So I taught there as well too. But teaching in Ghana and comparing the core competences and what the students were having, especially as compared to the private schools and then that of the public schools, there was just vast difference. And then aside that, together with the public and then the private schools, I see that in education, the core mandate of education, and that is to bring out the potentials of maybe students so that they can function well and contribute so meaningfully in the society. Our education seems not to be able to bring the best out of that. You know, we lean towards just the cognitive aspect of learning. We lean towards what they can memorize, what they can remember in books, and that is it. But what they even bring outside what we have, the structured or scripted curriculum, we don't consider. So you see people who have good ideas, you see people who have good skills, they are creative, they have that, but they need to learn and pass BECU. So you force them to learn. It's not about their skills. You need to pass the BECs before you can get a good school, go to high school. If you don't do the same thing, you will not get good admission. So the standards in education system and then the lack of resources to implement, all of them become hindrances to us to be able to focus on their skill set. And then lastly on that, the history of education is also affect us. If you look at the history and development of education in Ghana and how education was introduced in Ghana, like formal education, let me put it that way, wasn't the best. You know, it started with our colonial masters and it started with reading, writing, and arithmetics. So it's more liberal studies, and people believe if you speak good English, you are intelligent, you know. And for those who can read and write, were the people that they revere, that they are very good. So people don't like the vocational skills. They don't like technical skills. Right? That has been a major misconception that is affecting the education system. But it is not the same here. Maybe they might have the same, but then the differences as to how they consider skill set is so different. Yeah. So if you ask me, that is what I would want to touch on when it comes to Ghana's situation and context.
Very interesting.
Yeah,
Are you
but did you
planning
school
to
in Ghana?
come again?
Yeah, did you school in Ghana?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay. And all that I'm saying, did you ever experience anything like that?
Well, yeah, as you said, it is context based, right? It depends on um several other things. It's not like we all didn't start at the same foundational stage because everybody has maybe different, let's say we might all go to the same school, but we wouldn't
Okay,
come out the same way, right? Because
exactly.
perhaps someone might be born into a family where both parents are educated, and it would inform the framing of what they are going to do in the school. The other person might have lower premium on education, then it would also impact their outlook and the way they see it. So but I'm curious to understand, do you plan to come back to Ghana to implement some of those research and projects that you did in the US?
Yes, I think I am already doing that, even
Okay.
as I'm here. The research that I'm talking about, almost 80% of them were conducted in Ghana.
Okay.
And then I also led in the organization of webinars on AI for teacher
Mm,
educators. For some of them, with the help of institutions, the universities, and then the Teacher Education Journal, and then the National Teaching Council, it
right.
became a nationwide wide webinar where a lot
Mm,
of teachers and teacher educators attended. So for the implementation of what I'm learning, I think I'm already doing that.
okay.
But for I can be here and be doing it. I don't
Yeah.
know where I'm gonna be. Yeah,
I know it's
I really
possible,
don't know
but
where I'm gonna be.
physical presence sometimes adds an extra layer of um effective project delivery, don't you think?
Yes, yes, that is a good point. But then I must also admit that I am open to come do a whole lot of things in Ghana. And then
Mm,
also I am open to be at a place where I can contribute more in Ghana if it depends on where I think, usually I would say where God will send me. Yeah, but then the open presence is very important. But if you have had the experiences, all the things you're learning, usually if you come back, it might not be easy for you to integrate them. We have what we call the dominant practices and the dominant discourse. So you might come in back to the system if you're not so fortunate enough to meet people who accept that change is possible, or might want to look at, okay, what is it that you have that is relevant that we can consider. It might just turn up to be zero because they might want to readapt you to the system. People will resist what you are even bringing. So that has been the issue of many people who are out here of going back home. And whether if they go home, all the skills that they have learned, they'll be able to implement them, or they'll even get the resources to even implement them, or people will accept them that let us move it forward, you know. So that is another thing to also think about, why people stay away and they usually don't come.
I see. All right. Um, but you still have a few minutes. Is there any
Yeah.
other thoughts you want to bring to our awareness?
Oh yes, there is one study we recently conducted on OpenAI released O1. I don't know whether you are aware of it.
Oh yeah.
Uh, yeah, the O1 the preview and then the mini. Yes, but then that one is not multimodal, as in it's not able to take images for now. It's still at the experimental stage. So we conducted a study on it, the center I'm working at, and to assess its capability. So OpenAI, And one of the perks of that is that it has the ability to reason like human being. And I am confirming this, that when we accessed OpenAI, the O1, using all the domains, almost all the domains or the assessment tools that we used in measuring critical thinking, logical thinking, computational thinking, it was able to perform above the average human performance. It was able to perform critically above human being, of the average human being. It was able to perform creatively above the average human being. It was able to perform computationally above the average. So what does this research tell us? What is the implication? So the implication that I want to put across is that in as much as we are talking about AI cannot be creative, it is true as to a human being. It is still moving, it is evolving, it is moving ahead. So, and it is giving us a loophole in our education system that the instrument that we have been using over years, we have been relying on these instruments to create achievements for people, to promote others and deny others. This tool comes in and is able to perform past human being. And we have issues with that. It is telling us that these instruments might have damaged us for over years now, and they have not been the true reflection of what human being can give if we doubt it. And then we need to revise how we teach. We need to revise how we assess students. And I think it is the duty of the government, the duty of the education ministries to sit down and have educational reform now as it stands now. Nobody is even talking about AI. When I look back in Ghana, I don't want to generalize it in Africa, but here in the US, my department or the center recently won a 10 million USD grant, and we are going to conduct research in how to help teachers and middle school students to use AI, generative AI. And this funding is coming from the US government to support the system, like to support them. So when I look at this and I look at the students back home, I see the vast difference, and I see the future, like 5 years to come. These people, when they embrace generative AI, they are far gone. And if we are still in our traditional ways of teaching, then hey, there's going to be a problem. It's really, really going to be a problem. So generative AI is doing almost everything that we have been using assessment to do now. It can score WASI maybe 100%. It can score the BECE, even the College of Education, and whatever exams that we have been using to assess students. Let us think about how we can assess students differently aside these test tools, because they are becoming obsolete. They're becoming obsolete. Yeah. How do you use AI for in your work? Do you use it also as do you test it, or you just use it for writing or something like that?
Well, I guess we will need to schedule another call to, go through some of the use cases that we have presently.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
Caller, joining the waiting now. So, would you mind to give final speeches?
Okay.
Yeah,
And how many minutes do I have for that?
minutes?
I have a minute, right?
Well, you have now 5 minutes, 23 seconds.
Okay, okay, yes, all right. So I would want to really commend you for this steps you have taken, and for, as I mentioned earlier on, for the endurance and for bringing a whole lot of people. It's a learning grounds for us. Anytime I join, I learn something new. And then giving me also the platform to share what I've been doing when it comes to AI, and then some of the findings, and then the way forward. And for all your team, I'm so aware that you have a good team there. I really commend them for their hard work and for their support as well. And then we pray that whatever God has designed in this journey should be fulfilled and granting you the grace. And also shouting out to my friends, my colleagues here. I'm sure some of them will be watching. And back home in Ghana, my family as well, if they are not sleeping, and those who are watching and colleagues, all of them, I say uh, a big shout to them for waking up to listen. Yeah, the conversations should keep on. After here, I think we can keep on talking more and more about AI, teacher education, and whatever AI, generative AI it is in Africa. I'm always open for the discussions.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you, Matthew.
You're welcome. All right. So you do it. We are right behind you, giving you the support and prayers.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye.
Hello, Joybert, Dr. Joybert.
Hi,
Javi.
Chris. How are you doing? How are you doing today?
All is well. Yourself?
Doing good, doing good.
Wonderful. Are you ready?
I'm set.
Okay. Please introduce yourself.
All right, before I do that, thank you so much again for the privilege to be part of this record-breaking event that you are doing. And of course, at the same time, you are transforming lives. And anytime knowledge and practical experience is communicated, somebody somewhere is definitely learning something and being impacted. And thank you so, so much. And kudos to the resilience, the commitment, and of course, the big heart, the large heart to do something like this is commendable. So my name is Dr. Jarbet Jafnye. I am Cameroonian, and my work cut across training and consulting and, of course, entrepreneurship. And in the last decade and more, I have done a lot of work across the African continent in terms of providing enterprises, corporate institutions, and even government bodies the the technicalities, the policies, and of course the trainings, especially when it comes to developing the right skill set for young people to be employable, and of course enterprise development skills for people in business.
Wonderful. And today we are talking about employability skills for young Africans.
Yes.
Okay. So I guess the first question will be, what is it with employability skills for young Africans that makes it a huge case on the continent and probably beyond? Because obviously we see the numbers coming from the US.
Mhm.
What do you think makes it such a huge issue right now in different nations?
Yeah, when it comes to the topic of unemployment in general, it is a big topic. And of course, one of the presidents in Africa during an AU meeting said that unemployment is a ticking time bomb in Africa. And there are many factors contributing to the unemployment rate in Africa, same as, of course, many other continents. But one of those key factors is unemployability of the young people across the continent. So you will find people who are graduates, people who have been able to acquire the right education, so to say, but when it comes to really being practically employable, having the right skills that they can be able to create the value that the marketplace needs, it becomes a challenge. And I've been privileged to be part of a couple of research and of course, outreach programs. And we have practically seen the challenge that exists between employers getting people with the right skills, and of course, young people being ready for the job market, but not having the right skills to be able to get the jobs that are available. So there is this integration between what employers need and, of course, what the young people are able to provide as far as skill set is concerned. So to be able to contribute to overcoming this ticking time bomb of unemployment, one of the key things that we need to start working on is helping the young people to have the right employability skills. And one of the funny things about this is that that the young people that finish high school or complete high school, not all of them get to go to the university. So we have so many young people with high school diplomas but cannot compete in the job market. And the only way that we can contribute or help them to be partakers in the job market is to help them get the right skills that can make them employable with their high school diplomas. And at the same time, we have university graduates who don't have the practical skills to create value in the marketplace, but and we have employers struggling, to actually get the right value creators for their businesses. So it's a kind of one of the core things that needs to be sorted out and pay close attention in helping overcoming unemployment across Africa.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Joybert. Okay, so obviously you've been working in this environment for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what are the success stories that you've seen that makes it easy for you to, see light at the end of the tunnel, so to say?
Yeah. We have had a good number of success stories because one of the things that we were able to do in my organization was to create kind of an ecosystem where we have a training center that focuses on providing employability skills to these young people, both on site with our campus in Cameroon, and of course, online platforms that we train across the African continent. And we also have a recruitment a company, and of course, we partner with job boards where we create a platform where employers can come through us to be able to get people that are employable. And of course, the people that we train, we create a pool where we get to promote to employers across different nations that, hey, we have people that, apart from their degrees, they have some form of relevant skill set that can enable them to create value and to sell the value that they are creating. So we have young people that have been able to get jobs after being unemployed for 3 years, for 5 years. And of course, in relevant organizations, we have some that after being unemployed for so long and going through the program, they're able to start their own businesses. And we have a lot of small businesses, hundreds of them across different African countries that have been able to start building their businesses the right way because they're able to recruit the right people. And just to mention that in the last 10 years plus, the Center for Entrepreneurship and Center for Entrepreneurship Leadership and Business Management Development has been able to train over 28,000 young people across Africa with these different employability skills and enterprise development skills. So we have incredible testimonies of people getting first-time jobs, some getting promotions, and of course, one of the things we promote strongly, I always use the phrase that as a young person who is looking for a job, one of the best things you can do is find a place where you can use your time and use the knowledge you have to start creating value, so you are able to get a position where somebody can find you. So everybody that we train, we strongly encourage them to be volunteers, either in local youth organizations, in NGOs, even in churches, anywhere there are human beings where you can serve. We push them to have that mindset of serving and being able to practice, what they're learning through our training programs.
That's really interesting. Okay. So if you wouldn't mind, what do you do now?
Well, I still do a lot of trainings. It's one of my primary, I call it my calling. I do a lot of trainings, a lot of speaking across different countries. And it primarily at the moment, it focuses a lot on corporate training and of course, speaking in different conferences that center around still skills development and of course, strategy and a lot more in the area of executive coaching for different leaders across different nations. Yeah.
Dr. Gilbert, if I delay in getting back to you, don't worry about me. I will definitely answer you.
That's
I'm,
fine. I understand.
I'm fighting the powers of sleep.
I understand.
They want to make me sleep, but I'm pushing hard. Okay,
A great
that's
man.
huh?
So you're a great man. It's not easy.
And too, you're a great man too. You are awake to join us in this session, so you're a great man too. Yeah. So the question I have, my next question will be, um, do you consider that at some point you would come back to Africa to establish the best practices?
I'm actually based in Africa. It's just because of the nature of my work that I get to travel a lot. My home is Africa, and uh, born there, bred there, and I believe that Africa is the future. And of course, it's the best place for me, really, as a person, the culture, the people. I've had the privilege to be in Accra 2 times, to be in Ghana 2 times, and it's one of my favorite places to actually visit. And of course, I got a new friend, and that is you. So hopefully next time I'm in Accra, I will definitely reach out to you and we get to meet face to face apart from LinkedIn. So yeah, I'm always in Africa. All of my businesses are in Africa at the moment. So and the goal of the vision and the purpose and everything I'm doing actually centers around the African continent as far as the work we do is concerned. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So the project you said is for early career professional.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So what should we be expecting from you in the next few years?
Um, in the next few years, one of the things that we really want to do is to really play that integral role when it comes to policy making, because the impact that we have created through the organizations I run is what you can call B2C, right? Business to customers, like us to young people, us to the graduate, to the job seekers, to the entrepreneurs, to the professionals that we help them, that we help train them. But one of the things that we want to start doing is to start doing B2B, where we are able to partner with governments, partner with relevant institutions to contribute in um, the policy framework, because we are doing it from the place of practicality, apart from running businesses where I get to recruit people to for my businesses. I understand the challenges and the pain of recruiting the right people, and of course at the same time being able to be a consultant to numerous businesses across Africa. I have seen the headaches that they go through, and so having that real marketplace experience, and at the same time, part of my careers, I've been able to cut across the academic sector. I did lecture in 2 universities a few times, and of course, was a high school teacher at one point. So I'm trying, one of the things that we're trying to work on now is trying to balance all of this experience and the academics to really create frameworks and, of course, be part of those stakeholders that can conduct labor market analysis to, solve that skills in demand situations, and of course contribute practically. And of course, scaling the work that we do. One of my dreams actually is that at some point very soon, everything that I run as an institution should be able to have operations in all center regions across Africa. So we have offices in West African offices, East African offices, North Africa, Southern Africa, and so on. Because as I said, the work that we do is African driven, is continental, of course, driven, and that is one of the things that we are really working on. And of course, creating a strong partnership with other leaders in the same sector, that we can do much more together. Because one of the things that we really need to promote across Africa is cooperation and partnership between people in similar sectors, so we can do a lot more as far as our projects and impacts are concerned.
Dr. Joy Betts.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I want to beg you to repeat your last comment. I missed it.
Now, what I was saying is, as per what we're planning to do, a few things that we are planning on doing is transitioning a lot to being in key areas where we can use our experience, our data, and of course the work that we have done to contribute to policy, and of course serve larger corporations in the work that we do, and of course being able to expand our on-site operations in key African regions as far as the work that we do is concerned. So that is in a broader perspective, that is what we're looking at doing, especially when it concerns we call it our goal for this decade. So 2020 2030 is what we are actually focusing on in a broader perspective. But when we begin to break this down, it is huge. It needs a lot of resources and a lot of partnership with other people. Yeah.
Wonderful. Anytime you're in Accra, you can pass by. It would be great for us to find a way we can, collaborate. As you know, we have the digital career acceleration program, which helps early career professionals to get into tech jobs. So yeah, that would be great to see where we can collaborate.
Absolutely. That would be great.
Yeah. So on to the next one. My next question, of course, will be, we are talking about employability skills, but what about digital skills for the founders themselves?
Yeah, as I said, a part of the programs that we do at the Center for Entrepreneurship, Leadership, and Business Management Development is employability skills and enterprise development skills. So when it comes to enterprise development skills, we work a lot with entrepreneurs. One of our most successful programs that we have been running in the last few years is known as the Mini MBA program, which focuses on training founders to grow in strategy and execution when it comes to building their businesses. And of course, digital skills is actually part of that. We get to merge what we call digital transformation and digital skill set. So the goal here, that course, the aim is to train founders to have the mindset on how they can be able to, use technology to transform their processes, and of course, expand their businesses, and of course, train them on what we like to call industry-related digital skills. So what we try to do here is we try to work with various founders to help them to be able to analyze, based on my industry, based on the industry where my business operate, what are the core digital skills that I need to know and grew in order to build my business. For example, an entrepreneur who runs a business in marketing and an entrepreneur who runs a business in finance, they may have some certain similar digital skill set that they need to learn, but at some point there will be some unique technical digital skills that they will need to learn and be experts in based on the industries that they operate in. So we get to work with these founders a lot, and so for many of them we help adopt digital skills training framework for their businesses when it comes to helping them develop their teams to keep on upskilling and reskilling in the work that they do. Yeah, so it is a core part of what we do with founders and, of course, executive leaders.
Wonderful. Okay, so I see that we have lots of alignment between our works. By the way, is there any of these fellowships that you're already working with, like the fellowships that support young Africans? Are there any of the ones that you're already working with?
I have been privileged to be participants on some of these fellowships. So like the Mandela Washington Fellowship program with the Yali program. And yes, we have been able to partner, especially with our US Embassy in Cameroon, to provide some trainings to young people across in Cameroon. And of course, the last time that I was actually in Ghana, I was invited by the Yali Center in Gimpa, and I was leading a training for one of the cohorts there, especially for the entrepreneurship track. So we partnered with them to do that. And I think 2 years ago, I was one of the lead facilitators for the Obama Foundation Africa program for their young people. So we have been able to do some works with these people. And for Tony Elumelu program, we have provided mentorship and training and helping them to prepare entrepreneurs in Cameroon to apply for the program and, of course, make good use of the funds that some of them get to benefit from the program. So yeah, we've been able to technically partner, but many of these partnerships have not been formal apart from the Yali program and Obama program for like the Tony Lumelu program and some of these many fellowships, just because we're a center that is well known that we have very good programs around young people and entrepreneurs. So many of these participants of this program just come and trust us with mentorship and training and follow-ups, and local associations in Cameroon, of course, do trust us in these areas, and we work with them to, impact the young people in their various programs. Yeah, so there have been some form of relationship and, of course, partnership with these organizations.
Dr. Joybert, that's wonderful. We have a few more minutes. But let me ask you a few personal questions.
That's fine.
While I force through disallowing sleep to distract me. I keep fighting sleep. So your academics were all in the African continent, right?
Yes.
Okay. And now you are working in the US. Where do you see the difference?
We have not. I don't really. I can only say I'm based in the US per se. So I mostly come here for work and do some speakings and consultings and many of these things here and there. And so I don't think I'm really in a good position to really explain the major difference that really exists in this for somebody who have lived. If there's somebody who have lived in the US for a couple of years, maybe they can really explain that. But one thing I can say is the US market for some people I've been able to work with in training and of course in business is that um, the way they structure their curriculum is very marketplace driven. And in terms of the business cases, like for example, I've been able to do some work with business schools here and there, and their business programs are business case driven, very, very business case driven. So that's why you can see that somebody can leave a US university and get their first job as a consultant or an analyst in a top, consulting firm like McKinsey or any of these firms, because, in their school program, it is very, very business case driven, very practical. As I said earlier, I've had the privilege to lecture in universities in Cameroon, part-time lecturer, and I've been a guest lecturer in a few universities here and there. So I've seen some of their programs. It's still a very much theoretically driven, and it's not really structured in a way that people can really live with those marketplace skills in such a powerful, practical way. Of course, a lot of universities are definitely transforming that and improving on that curriculum and making it much better and much practical. And again, this brings us back to the earlier part of the discussion where one of the things that we have been working on with some private universities in Africa is being able to encourage them to partner a lot with business leaders in their communities to design curriculum for their university students so that when they leave, they're living with something practical and something driven that they can become value creators when they leave the university. So that's one major difference, but again, we are catching up, we are learning, and there's a lot of improvements now than it used to be a couple of years ago. Yeah.
I'm back. Okay, contesting the power of the air.
We are almost there.
Yeah, I know. I'm at the critical period where, transitioning from the previous day to the new day is always like a fight, like
Yeah.
a fight of fate. So I have like 2 hours. If I win these 2 hours, then I've won the next day. So yeah, I just have to add a little bit more strength.
Yeah. Yeah. Strength is coming your way.
Yeah, it's coming, it's coming.
Yeah.
So when will you be returning?
Um, well, I can always
That's
do that any moment, as a business person, where business calls, you definitely appear. So
right.
I mostly travel based on where I'm needed and where work needs to be done. So um, if the next morning there's a call to speak somewhere, to train somewhere, to do some work somewhere, here I go. So um, I'm really hoping that I should be in Accra very, very soon and to definitely catch up with you. Yeah.
No problem at all. No problem. Anytime you are in the country, just let me know. Let me
Absolutely.
know, and we will link up. In the
Definitely.
meantime, was there anything you needed my response on that I haven't expressed opinion?
Um, I think one of the things that I was we could talk on is what are those core employability skills that from our experience and of course doing trainings here and there and the success stories we have seen and working with different businesses that we think that if young people can be able to, grow in them and develop them, it's going to help them to be very employable, not only now, but of course in the next, coming years. And in this dispensation, you cannot talk about employability skills without talking about the future of work and the future of organizations. organizations of the future, they'll be looking for certain types of skills. And whether we like it or not, the future is coming. And one of our responsibilities is to train our young people to be ready for that future. Somebody said that we cannot change the future, but we can train our young people to be ready for the future that is actually coming. And that future it's not about 20 years to come, but it's next year, it's the next 2 years, the next 5 years, next 10 years. And a lot is changing very fast. And our young people needs to be ready. Our people as a whole, we need to be ready for what is actually coming as a workforce. Yeah.
Wonderful. So, so you work with both entrepreneurs and job seekers, huh?
Yes.
So now the question is, sometimes we design programs and we target for entrepreneurs, and we design let's say digital skills for entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
What type of digital skills can an entrepreneur need that might be different from what a job seeker, no, I should say a career professional need?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. From my experience and from my perspective, and as somebody who owns businesses, I've been able to start over 7 businesses in my time in so far. 3 have failed, and I always say I think I'm a good business consultant because I've failed in businesses. It makes it better to help you not to fail. So, and in my experience so far, I would say that the top digital skill that founders needs to have is to understand digital transformation, because um, a good founder who will be able to build a business that will, stand the test of time and be able to adapt need to keep on understanding how technology and digital platforms can be able to transform their businesses. I always fondly say there's this popular book that I think many people across Africa will know in secondary school, written by Adam Smith. I think is a Wealth of Nations, talking about economics and all of that. And in that book, he was talking about the factors of production, talking about labor, capital, entrepreneurial land, and all of that. And I always fondly say that if you bring the writer of that book in this dispensation, that person would definitely add digital platforms and digital tools as part of, the key factors that an entrepreneur will need when it comes to producing anything. So I strongly believe that founders across Africa, one of the core skills that they need to have in terms of digital skills is digital transformation. How can they leverage on digital platforms, digital tools and applications, or whatever technology to transform their processes, transform how they create value, transform how they package value, transform how they market this value, and of course, transform, how they improve their entire operations as a whole. Because one of the major things that every founder needs to focus on is how do I improve my business? And anything that can help in that business improvement is important for them. And then the second digital skill set in this area is what we call developing industry-related digital skills. So as a founder, if you run a business, one of the things you need to pay attention to is what are those key digital skills that if my team members have, my business will become better. My business will keep on growing and will keep on thriving. So this becomes very important. So as a founder, we do not need to be blank or ignorant when it comes to key industry related skills that every core team member needs to develop and needs to improve or needs to keep on upskilling in order to keep the business running. So I believe that if founders can have these 2 key skills, every other digital skill will fall into place, and they will definitely be able to, move their businesses forward in such a great way, and of course see some level of profitability in what they to do. And just to add, which is that data-driven decision making, which is important because when you're talking about data-driven decision making right now, you're talking about various platforms that can help people to analyze data, and even generative AI now is very powerful at analyzing data. So being able to leverage these platforms, digital platforms that can help in data analysis, and of course using this analysis to make business informed decisions that can move the business forward is definitely very important for founders across Africa. Right. I know that you're catching some rest. Hello, Chris. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
All right.
Dr. Jabet,
Yes, Chris.
I'm back.
Awesome.
Okay, so I think I've exhausted my questions. Do you have any for me?
I did read a little background story on why you're doing this, but I think it'll be different if you share with me the story, and why is it important to you to do this, and so far so good. Are there any lessons that you're picking from this particular project that you feel that will make you a different leader, a different entrepreneur, a different social impact leader after this project?
Well, I guess firstly, doing this is to mobilize scholarship for our young leaders going through the Ready for Work programming, essentially to get them ready for the industry, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was something I never thought I would eventually do because, you know, the only person who doesn't know how tough it is to stay up for this number of days, only getting to sleep for a few minutes. Yeah, if you haven't done it, you wouldn't understand how challenging it is to the body, to the mind, you know. But I think in terms of key takeaway from it, yeah, I mean, when I'm successful when I'm successful in the process, um, it will be a huge thing for me because it will mean that I've overcome my body's need to sleep
Mm-hmm.
and to rest all this period. I think it will be more than, I don't know. I still I'm surprised, you know, even at this point, I'm still surprised at myself that I've even gotten to the point where we are now, because I never in my conscious thinking imagined that, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is at this point is a feat already for me, right? Is a feat,
Mm-hmm.
which 5 years ago I would tell you, no, 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 I can't even do that, you know.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I guess it would toughen my skin. I would believe in myself more. I do
Mm-hmm.
believe in myself already, but as a takeaway, I'll believe in myself more, and I will be more grateful to knowing that people, people can always rally behind me to support the projects that we do, because I can't possibly have done this alone. It took very, very many people who helped to mobilize the speakers, helped to circulate the information, some of which are some people whom I haven't actually met before. And yeah, so even my guys that are helping to do different things in the background. Yeah, it's a community effort, in short,
Absolutely. That's so good. That's
It's
so
amazing.
Good. Yeah.
It's amazing, and I really pray and hope that we end up with the 96 hours as scheduled. And yeah,
I
it will
definitely
make me very happy.
I definitely think that you are on your way to breaking that record, and making the decision to actually do that, I think, is already a big win. Because I mean, when it comes to fear, I like the way somebody defined fear as either you forget everything and run, and you could have done that. When this idea came to your mind, you could have thought about it and you say, you know what, forget it, and you run away and you never do it. Or somebody said fear can be defined as you face everything and you rise. And I think that you have come to that place where you have made up your mind that, I will face everything as far as this is concerned, and I will rise above it. And one thing I've learned in entrepreneurship over the years is that true entrepreneurs at their core don't fail. Even if you start an initiative, you start anything, like I said earlier, I have failed in about 4 businesses, losing a couple of millions in them. But you see, I've been able to use those lessons as a consultant, as a trainer, to make more money and to change more lives and to help more visions to stand, because I cannot tell other people who are starting afresh or who are in crisis situations what not to do, because I did it and I messed up. So whatever we find to do as entrepreneurs, we don't fail, we only become better. Either we rise or we learn and we rise again, and only keep going. But I think that where we are, and of course how far you've come, I think that the record will definitely be a success story. So kudos
Thank
to
you.
that. Really, really kudos.
Thank you.
You see,
Thank
as a Christian, as a Christian, the only time I get to stay overnight without sleeping is when I'm doing all night in church. So, and I know how difficult it can be for one night, not to talk of you doing it for a couple of nights. So, well done to what you're doing. If I may ask you a second question, we get to have a lot of similarities in the work that we get to do. Of course, we have been friends on LinkedIn for some time, and I've seen the incredible work that you actually do, and the various things that you do, especially for young people. Um, based on this, based on this project that you're on right now, and if you were to meet a younger self, somebody who is younger than you, based on right from the planning stage to even at this very moment right now, the price you have paid, the pains, and of course your body is getting weak, and all of that, all this that you're picking, if you are to meet a younger person, um, and 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 they're in a place of fear, they're in a place of um, should I do it? Should I not do it? They're in a place of people defining them. what will you tell that younger person?
I mean some of the words that you used. You said if I met my younger self.
Yes, if you meet a younger person or your younger self or a university student or anybody just younger than you, and they're in a point where they have these crazy ideas they want to do, and maybe there's fear, there is people's opinions easily define that person or those group of people. What will you tell them based on what you have learned so far, even up to now, knowing that whatever path that you take, there'll be pain, there'll be some suffering, there'll be some sacrifices they're going to make. What will you tell that young person?
Yeah, I got I mean, I will say to the person, you need to understand where your strength is. My strength is in if I say with my mouth, then I have to do it because it can't be that I say something and I don't do it. But I mean, the first day, everything in my body told me to quit. You know, every muscle in my body said, wrap it up. After all,
Wow.
every muscle in my body said, wrap it up. After all, if you fall down here, you know, it will be the worst case scenario. You know, my legs were doing like this, and my eyes were almost turning. You know, it was like a difficult situation. But somehow I knew I could go for one extra. I said, okay, let me take it 1 hour at a time. One extra hour, 1 extra hour, 1 extra hour. And eventually, after a while, my body came back to normal. So yeah, I would say to the individual, you need to understand yourself. I know myself. I know when I cannot bear it anymore. If I got to that point where I couldn't bear it, yeah, maybe I would have given up. You know. So yeah, understand yourself. Quitting is not it's not necessarily bad if you realize that you can take it in, because the other side of it is if you quit to not faint, yeah, then probably you regroup to try again. But if you faint on camera, that's not too good a sight. It wouldn't be too good a sight, you know. Yeah, because also the first day I couldn't eat properly.
Yeah.
I couldn't eat properly. I didn't time myself, or I didn't give myself enough time. Oh no, not necessarily because today is still the same, but I ate today. I guess your first day you didn't want to mess up, and I guess that's what. Yeah. But the second day now, 20 minutes is enough to take a bath. Take a bath, brush your teeth, and run back. Continue again. Well, so might this be one of the things you could possibly consider doing yourself?
Funny enough, there was a time that I thought maybe I would do a public speaking Guinness World Record. Uh,
Uh,
but I don't think that my level of bravery and courage is up to yours. I think that my bravery quotient and courage quotient is not up to your level yet to someday do that.
that's the full
And
public speaking.
so it's I don't know what I think I was talking with a couple of friends, and we are like, if you were supposed to do a Guinness World Record challenge, what would you do? I said, you know what? I do speak a lot, sometimes in a week, sometimes you could speak in about 6 different events, sometimes different countries. And so that's the only thing I get to do effortlessly. And so that's what I was thinking about. But um, again, as I said, I don't think that my bravery and courage quotient level is not yet at that high level like yours that I can embark on this yet. So
Yeah, but
maybe someday.
if it's something you want to do, you can try it. I mean, you can try it, then you are sure, because right now you don't have any data to use to prove that your answer is correct. You know, right
Yeah.
now it's an assumption.
Yeah,
There's
it
no
is. It's
there's no data that shows that you're right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So perhaps you can try it.
Let's see. Maybe you will inspire me to try it someday.
Ah,
But for now, I recently got married. I recently got married, so for now, let me focus on enjoy my wife.
oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, so which part are you in Accra? I'm not very good with Accra, but I know a few places in Accra. Um, and I know the Accra Mall, I know the Spintex Road, I know where Gimpa is, I know the market, a few areas. Which one is closer to you? I know the conference center. I know airport. There's one, I think it's Airport City. Is there a name, a quarter name like that? A neighborhood? Can't remember, but I think there is. So which part of Accra are you doing the event? I think I
You
lost
can hear
you.
me.
Yes,
You
I
should
can
hear
hear
me
you
now.
now. Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah. Not far away from Accra Mall.
Okay. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Anyway,
Right.
um, let's migrate to Martin Luther King. Is it on already? Is
Awesome.
it on? Not on yet. Oh,
All right, Chris. I think that we are running up. So
yes, my
is
man.
is it is the next speaker set?
No, he's not on yet. Let me call him.
Okay. I think that one of the incredible things that you are going to pick out from this, or which is going to contribute greatly um, in your life's journey, is your level of mental toughness. Um,
Yeah.
I get to write, I have published about 6 different books, and I like to write a lot about productivity and execution. And one of the things that I spoke in one of my books is titled from chief procrastination officer to chief executive officer. So there are many people that they are chief procrastinators, and to move from being a chief procrastinating officer to a chief execution officer, there are a couple of things to do. And when you begin to grow in that ladder, especially as entrepreneurs, there's a level of building a business that your level of mental toughness plays a critical role in whatever you're going to achieve.
Yep.
And I always fondly say that mental toughness is not one of those things that you read a book and you develop it. You develop mental toughness through experience. You see,
Yeah.
you develop mental toughness through, let's say, people that go to gym a lot, they get to have better mental toughness than people who don't actually, right? Or people who do things that stretch them like what you're doing right now. And I think that one of the most priceless things that you are building that will define the rest of your life is your level of mental toughness. I will fondly say that if there is a machinery or a process that they use to measure the level of mental toughness, you'll be among the top 1% globally when it comes to experts with high mental toughness after this program, you know. And it's something you're developing practically. It's in such an amazing way. And one thing about this is that there are things in future that when others will be scared, you will never be scared. It will be like, let's do this, let's get it done, because your level of mental toughness is so wide and so
Yeah.
deep that it to you it's like, come on, let's do it. It's not difficult. It's not hard, as you see. So
I pray
it's
so. I really pray so. Yeah.
yeah.
You know, sometimes also you realize that the thing you're afraid of does not really exist.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like yesterday, the only thing I didn't want to happen was for me to fall down, and not be able to get up because my leg couldn't carry me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But it's all good.
Yeah.
As you said, you know, is something that will add a lot of stamina to my mental
Mm-hmm.
well-being. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Awesome. Awesome. All right, Chris, I see that your next
all right, my
speaker
man.
is getting set. Thank you so much for having me. It's a privilege to be part of your, world record events that you're working on. It's already part of posterity. Whether we like it or not, it's already part of a lifelong journey that someday you always talk about it and you always share experiences. Somebody said life is in experiences, and this is one of those experiences that you are building that will last a lifetime with you. And it's such a privilege and an honor to be part of one of your most cherished experiences, if I may say so, despite the sacrifices and the pains and the sleepless nights. It's after a few hours, you will definitely look back and be proud of how far you've come, and of course, the possibilities that you can be able to create because of who you have become through this. So thank you so much. We'll definitely stay in touch, and we keep
Sure.
building for.
Sure. Thank you so much. You too. Thank you. Hi, Martin. Martin Luther King. Your name is quite strong, eh?
Hi, Tom Chris. Yeah,
Hello.
I know. It's quite a name, isn't it?
I know. It's quite a name.
Yeah.
Your parents didn't want to make any mistake.
I know.
They
I've
want.
actually received lots of questions regarding this name. Like, I mean, lots of questions wherever I go, wherever I am, you know. So yeah, it's not strange. It's I've always said that probably my parents were rather visionary and probably knew how my life would fashion into, and decided to.
Martin,
Yeah.
I'm gonna stand so that I can hear you better. I'm fighting the power of the air that blows in my face and then gives me sleep. Okay. So, would you mind to repeat your statement again?
Yeah, that's fine.
Go on, please.
Yeah, what did you say? Come again.
Oh no, I was saying it seems you were saying something when I was sitting down.
Oh,
So
okay.
I wanted to be more alert.
So I was actually saying that that name, I have really received so many questions as to
Yeah.
how come the name, and I've always said probably my parents were visionary and decided to give me that. Maybe they foresaw how that would fashion, or serve as a compass to my life choices and journey and all that. And I think it's been a pleasure bearing it, given the values of Martin Luther King Jr. And also when you look at all the Martin Luther Kings or the Martin Luther, like there is a pattern that has flowed. The original bearer of the name is Martin Luther, that is the German, who like we all know, and then Martin Luther King Senior also was named in honor of Martin Luther, who is the Black American. Martin Luther King Senior is the Black American, and he gave birth to Martin Luther King Jr., who is the freedom fighter, the one that is most popular, and who was leading the social justice and racial equality, advocating for all those values and was striving for racial justice. And he also, begot Martin Luther King the third. And all these, so Martin Luther King the third was also named in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. And Martin Luther King Jr. actually had like his name as Michael and was later renamed Martin Luther King in honor of his father. So, and now we have Martin Luther King the third, Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King the third. So, which is the son of Martin Luther King Jr. So if you look at it, originally the name came from Martin Luther, which is the German. Yeah, so that is just a simple, genealogy of the transition of how the transitioning of this
Yeah.
name.
It has gone through the years.
Yeah, travel through times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, please introduce yourself fully for our audience to get acquainted.
Okay, so yeah, I am Martin, and I'm from Ghana, born and raised in Bolga, from the Upper East region. And I did my undergrad in agribusiness management at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and just came to London School of Economics and Political Science and did my master's in social innovation entrepreneurship. So I just officially completed my program, and awaiting graduation in December, but also a social entrepreneur and yeah, I would say a burden one, but also someone very much passionate about entrepreneurship and social innovation. So that actually the passion served as a compass to direct where I am today. And I must say it has been an exciting journey. And also seeing you, Chris, doing this, it's really impressive, and hoping that maybe sometime along the line later on, I might be able to gain inspiration from what you're doing and break a record. I don't know what that record is yet. Yeah, so
Yeah,
in brief, that is me.
that's wonderful. So as at this point, we've actually broken the record, give or take.
Exactly.
So right now we are aiming to set a new record.
A new record.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you.
Congratulations.
Because the one that was prevailing was 55 hours and change.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's really, I mean, seeing you from day one up till this point, I know it's not been an easy journey.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it
can.
hasn't at all. It hasn't. But yeah, I know we would eventually do it. So I'm not worried. That the only thing that I I was concerned about was yesterday. Was I going to finish yesterday without having to be rushed to the hospital? But as God may have it, I didn't fall. So so that was good. It
Yeah,
was a good.
yeah. I know, of course. I know. I mean, sometimes it's about what is driving you, the desire to, to achieve what you had set from the beginning. I think that maybe if I may ask, what is that which keeps you on your feet even at this hour?
Right now?
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's if I fail now, even if I end it now and I don't reach the 96, I still failed because I've told everybody that we're going to 96. So it has to be.
Okay. Okay. I think that's impressive. With your interview with your previous interview just before this, I heard you said your power is in what you say. If you say something, you I mean you need to, fulfill it. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think yeah, that's
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's been my motto. If I say it, I have to do it. If I can't do it, then I can't say it. So if I happen to, appear to be communicating with the other side of our brethren, uh, give me your patience. Please bear with me. I'll answer you still. Sometimes my spirit will be alert, but my eyes are saying I'm unavailable. All right. Let's go to your topic, please.
Okay.
Social innovation and entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
That's good. You are doing your master's now?
Yeah, I just completed my master's in social innovation and entrepreneurship.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Well, so what social innovation and entrepreneurship is all about is, coming up with solutions that are to the benefit of society and the environment. So most often these solutions exist to fill a very huge gap, either to cause a system change, solve a very fundamental issue that is the root cause of a very systematic, either social or environmental problem. So wherever there are lacks, let's say in the status quo, wherever there are problems or gaps left behind where even government interventions are unable to, fill these gaps, this is where social entrepreneurs arise. So
Right.
yes, so it's basically about coming up with, solutions that are more efficient and more effective than even existing ones, with the end goal of helping, society or helping deal with environmental concerns. So basically, that is how it is. So during the program, we actually, learned about tools, on how to come up with some of these solutions to help bottom of the pyramid populations in ways that makes their lives better. So when I talk of bottom of the pyramid populations, these are people who, based on research, they are people who live less than like $2 a day. So they are the poorest populations cutting across different regions. So in every region you can find these, but just in specific regions you find that these populations or these individuals are more in number. And so so that is basically what it is about.
Impressive. So social innovation, I guess the question is social innovation and is already, excuse me, social innovation is already a form of entrepreneurship or not?
Yeah, it is a form of entrepreneurship. So here there are two concepts: social innovation and social entrepreneurship. So
Right.
exactly. So when you come up with a social innovation, that social innovation becomes a vehicle for social entrepreneurship. So to explain this more, you realize that when you are able to come up with a solution that would cause a systemic change, a solution that is geared towards making better the lives of, making better society and also the environment, this solution can actually be monetized. So now you have different context. So, different concepts. So we have social entrepreneurship and we have commercial entrepreneurship or traditional entrepreneurship, which other people think to be evil kind of entrepreneurship. So whilst commercial entrepreneurship, it's driven by profits, it's driven by, stakeholder wealth maximization or shareholder wealth maximization, you realize that social entrepreneurship is actually based or is driven by the desire to better the lives of individuals and not necessarily profit. Profit is not the central or the pivot or whatever that everything is driven from. So basically that is the difference, and you realize that these motivations, these distinctive motivations, determine the approach to which these separate occupations, or should I say, occupations are played. So for instance, if you are driven by mainly profit, you realize that, I mean, profit would determine how your operation should be, how you should relate with even your beneficiaries or those to whom you are creating that solution for. If you are driven not by profit, but by social impact, you would also have a different way. This is what also informs how your operation should be and your core values and how you go about as a business in general. So you have these two to be, quite contrasting, but unfortunately, sometimes you see businesses which are driven by profit using corporate social responsibility as an excuse to say that they are doing what they are driven, or maybe they are doing social entrepreneurship, which is actually not right. So there is a difference between corporate social responsibility, which is the responsibility of every enterprise, because as a business which is driven by profit, you cause negative externalities, the environment, your surroundings, how your operations. There are definitely ways in which you affect the environment, you affect the lives of people negatively. So there are ways that you need to, strategies you need to bring on board to make sure that you compensate you are able to compensate this negatives that you are causing. So that's about what makes a social enterprise different from a commercial enterprise, which has a corporate social responsibility. Is that for a social enterprise, your main goal is, for profit. Your main goal is, for social enterprise, your main goal is, to better the lives of individuals. But in the process of ensuring that the individual lives become better, you are able to produce just enough profit that will sustain the impact that you are creating, and not necessarily making wealth for shareholders whatsoever. So basically that is the distinction. Yeah, so over the period, I think the topic presented was quite it was supposed to maybe highlight my journey as a social or a budding social entrepreneur, but also in the intellectual, community or in academia, a presentation of how that commensurate with my own journey as a social entrepreneur. So yeah, basically along the course, I might share about my own journey and experiences as well. Yeah.
Well, I'm curious to learn about your journey. So tell me, how did you become a social entrepreneur? Was it, from the house or from school?
Yeah, so I think it all started from my upbringing, So currently, I am a co-founder of Brown Technology, which is an agri-tech company that is on the journey to reimagine cooling systems. So we are redesigning or building refrigerating systems that help farmers living at areas without access to electricity to be able to cool their perishable crops, reduce post-harvest losses, but also get the benefits of their labor. So basically coming up with refrigerating systems that are non-electricity reliant, but can be powered or used at areas without electricity. And this actually started at the very beginning. I would say at the very beginning, I did not even know maybe something like this would ever occur to me. So I am from Polgo, a community in Bolga, and at a very young age, I saw my parents, they wake up very early in the morning They go to the farms, they farm, come home, and when it's, when it's season time, like you see that harvest season, there is lots of vegetables to be harvested. However, for subsistence farmers, usually they produce for consumption and not for commercial gains. So usually when they consume and then there is excess, because they didn't have anything to, preserve the vegetables or perishables, what they did was to just give them out at just throwaway prices very cheaply. So I witnessed this, year after year, year after year. And I thought that was the norm. So I went to senior high school at the Nabrongo Senior High School, Nabasco, to read agriculture. Then I noticed that this issue of post-harvest losses was something beyond my community.
What happened?
A widespread, concern. Then from there, I said, well, then, okay, I would go to university and read agribusiness management for my undergrad. Maybe I might be able to get a solution for that. So I went to the KNUST, I did agribusiness management, and then I met friends, and then friends also from just similar backgrounds. And during conversation, so we're like, okay, how do we solve this problem? How do we find a solution? After 4 years, I did not know how to still solve it. Yeah, but I learned I obtained very key knowledge that would help me later in my years. So I got to understand the agribusiness value chain, or the agricultural value chain in its entirety, from production to the table. I got to understand that, in fact, there were several tons of vegetables going bad annually.
From which side?
Chris, are you speaking?
Yeah, I can hear you, but it seems like we are getting some heavy feedback. Is my voice better on your side? My voice is okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. So can you hear me clearly now?
Keep talking. Let's see.
Okay. So, so I got to realize that, in fact, beyond even Ghana, in across, the world, like 2 billion tons of vegetables went bad even annually and all that. So along the line, we gradually crafted an idea, and this is how this idea. So together with a friend I met at uni, then we came up with this idea and have developed it to this stage. So I would say that, like, at the very beginning, it started with just being, inquisitive and trying to understand, okay, how can I solve this problem in which I find myself, in which my family is in. Then later on, I noticed, okay, this is not just within my family, but also by far it extended to the whole region. Then it began, as I became more inquisitive, I noticed that the problem was even more serious than I ever imagined. So yeah, that has been it. Yeah. So beyond that, I came to LSE to read social innovation and entrepreneurship, because this is a solution or a business that is targeted at helping, individuals, a business that is targeted at helping the society, farmers. And so I needed the right tools that would enable me to be able to create social impact, but at the same time, generate enough revenue, just enough to be able to sustain that impact. So I don't know if you get it. Yeah, Chris. Yeah, so that has been it. And that is where we are now. And it's been an exciting journey having to combine this with studies. And yeah, I think that has given me the opportunity to actually practice the the concepts that I learned during my studies.
What do you study?
Yeah, I studied Master of Science, Social Innovation and Entrepreneurship.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So that's my field, actually.
Yeah, that's your course.
Yeah.
So do you think you'll ever find solution to the problem?
Of course, we have found we have found a solution. One thing about I always advise people about social, entrepreneurship is like just like any other business or any other type of, venture, you should not be in love with the product once. So you have a solution you want to arrive at. That is your North Star. And your North Star is the problem that you want to find a solution for. But when you have a specific or a particular product that you are so much in love with it, like you lose sight of maybe things that do not work. So when you are finding a solution to a specific problem, you want to first of all, understand whether there is whether one, it is in business wise or in business sense, it is viable, whether it is technically feasible, and whether it is desirable by humans, the people that you are creating the solution for. So these three elements are very key in bringing up a solution. But once you get one solution, then you are already excited about it. When there is feedback, you are reluctant to readjust, or to fine tune it to be, maybe it might be, it might have in business sense or wise, it might be viable, but just that it might not be technically feasible or humanly desirable. So your people are unable to even understand how it operates. The people that you want to give them the solution. How then do you go about it? Do you, readjust certain functions of it? Do you remodel the MVP, the prototype, or even the product that you've launched? How do you ensure that you keep on innovating in ways that makes it, acceptable to your audience? So, but once you are not so much interested in it, you are flexible, or you can easily accept that, okay, these are areas of the product that need to be readjusted or remodeled. So basically that is that is it. And I think this is applicable to all aspects of all types of businesses, whether it's for profit or profit driven or for impact driven businesses.
Right. When are you finishing your course?
I've completed that was
Okay.
last month, September.
All right.
Yeah.
So you are a master's candidate now.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's good.
Because I would be graduating in December.
Right. Well, that's a brilliant thing that you did to.
Chris, I'm unable to hear you.
No, I was saying that's a brilliant thing that you did.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Which country did you say you're originally from?
I'm from Ghana.
Okay, which part of Ghana?
I'm from Bolgatanga. Have you been to the Upper East region?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Think you need
So,
to.
do you intend to come back?
Yes. I intend to come back. At the moment, I'm working on several projects there at the moment. Yeah, so
Right.
definitely I have a reason to go back.
All right. Well, oh, what might be the reason?
Yeah, to to ensure that my projects. So for
Okay.
instance, this business I am talking about, it's actually, I mean, it's actually in Ghana at the moment, and that is where we are going to start the solution from. And so it is, although I have team in Ghana working at it, but my presence is needed like once
Yeah.
a while. It might not necessarily mean like permanent resident, but of
Right.
course, yeah, I would definitely be going.
I see. That's great. It seems like I've defeated the power
This
of.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good news then.
Yeah.
You've broken another record.
I know, right?
Yeah,
My eyes are free.
because yeah, that's impressive.
So now we can talk without distraction. I
Yeah,
hope.
I hope so. Yeah, it's good.
Some people, some people don't believe me.
I mean, they usually say you can't cheat nature.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But I will cheat it today. I will cheat it with wet cloth and wet cloth and
Yeah.
ice water.
I don't know.
I
I mean, yeah. Do you prefer like warm cloth to keep you awake or cold? Cold.
the weather is already cold, so if you add another cold cloth,
Mm,
it becomes jarring.
yeah, yeah.
So that
Okay.
one will tell you, get up, get up, get up. It will also open up your nerves.
Mm-hmm.
So was there a question you asked me that I haven't answered?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I was asking when you expect to go to Upper East or to explore. And
Uh,
yeah,
one of these days, I would like to go and see Upper East.
yeah. Maybe after the Guinness World Record, then you go and
Yeah,
do some celebration, some of the celebration there.
in Upper East.
Yeah,
Uh, if I do it in Upper East, then the speakers will not like me because they will say you should have done it here where it will be easy for us to come.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, you can still, you can explore, like exploring the country would be a part of the celebration. So you have maybe one time in Accra, then
Mm.
you move either to different regions just to explore. I think it would be I mean, a good idea.
Okay, we'll put a pin on it for
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fine. So just also to add, I have, having been a student also, and venturing into entrepreneurship. I know
Yeah.
maybe people who are listening probably would attest to the fact that it's not something that, it's like combining two full-time things together. Sometimes you have, conflicting priorities. Maybe you have a summative, deadline, assignment deadline, or whatever. Then again, you need to attend a pitch competition, or maybe you need to present certain documents or whatever, and you have to, work on these at the same time. And it's really not been easy, but like it has always been with every goal. It's about, like, one thing I've noticed is to make it easier for you. It's about being able to refocus back on your why for starting. Why did you, start at the beginning, and what do you want to achieve? And that has always been the driving force for going through, and for pushing through and all that. So you'd see that most people, it's usually after several years after studies, or probably even working in the industry for so many years, that they feel they have garnered enough experience to be able to directly translate into starting a business, or maybe whatever then venture they want to go into. So yeah, that has always been the challenge. But I think it's always worth it when you are a student and you are doing this. You are young, and you are able to directly apply concepts, especially if it's linked or related, if it's entrepreneurship related. You are able to directly apply this to your business, and it makes it practical. But even LSE, for instance, gives students the opportunity to actually, undertake projects, practical projects that make them, gain the experience. So yeah, but some universities do not actually have. They may have something for students, but it might not be as comprehensive, or strong enough to give the needed exposure to students. So I would usually recommend that if you're a student and you are going into entrepreneurship, it's the best time for you. And usually, starting early and failing, it's good. When you start early, then you fail early. You're able to get up again, try, and if you fail again, that is fine. Then you rise up again, because you have enough years to try and fail until you get it right. But if you wait till later, of course, you can still do it, but what are the odds that, time is passing, you can still make it, but it would have been rather better if you had done it, learned the lessons earlier, so you can start and then move ahead. I don't know if you have, if you've started something before SPAN, like if you've started a business, an organization, whatsoever.
Well, not here, but over here it was S1. From S1, then the rest came out. But before Ghana, I had done a few things before Ghana, Oh, yeah, I'm here, okay. Cool. Yeah, so before Ghana, I had done a few things, from which, I was able to save up some money to go to school, you know. But of course, it wasn't just the money I saved that I spent throughout the 4 years. Um, yeah.
Oh, so it means you had like your personal, equity like fund to, okay, for that was that was for your education, but as to whether when you started S Fund, how did you start? Like,
When I started this one,
yeah.
well, it was a campus club. We started as a campus club. There wasn't anything flamboyant or excessively structured. But obviously, as time went on, we took advice from academic counselors and other individuals and structured it into becoming what it is today.
Well, that's nice. And that was at the University of Ghana. Oh,
No, that was Raspberry.
okay. Okay. Amazing. That's
Yeah.
nice. Yeah. Interesting.
Yep, it is very interesting.
Yeah. So one thing that is very striking about social entrepreneurship also I would just want to mention, maybe if you have question to follow up on it, is the element of motivation. You would agree with me that when you are in a commercial business, most at times it is easier to keep moving when you begin to see financial figures increasing, when you begin to see profits, skyrocketing. You get so excited, that becomes your prime motivation. So, and that is why you keep moving. But for social entrepreneurship, because you are impact driven, social or environmental impact driven, money is just a part element, a side element of it. But even if it's part, it is just to sustain the business. So you notice that what makes you, keep moving for social entrepreneurship, you might not even start making profit or even the impact, the overarching impact that you want to achieve at the long run. You might not even sometimes, experience that impact for so many years. Even sometimes the long-term impact, you will not even see it even at your time. It's like someone planting a tree, a man planting a tree. He does not, he plants it for his children to grow and sit under it. He may not even sit under it. So sometimes it is difficult to keep up the grit and keep grinding when you don't see financial, performance as much as you see you desire the impact. But for someone into commercial entrepreneurship, you see that it's very easy, to keep moving once the money comes in. That is their primary motivation. So usually it is very necessary to usually reconnect to your why, to reconnect to the vision, because you would not see, and you would agree with me that it is very difficult to measure impact. If for instance, if the purpose for this Guinness World Record was to achieve just an impact, maybe to be able to inspire people that you can be able to do this, like Hilda did. If it was not maybe like, if the primary purpose was to inspire people, okay, you can do this, okay, then Ghana picked it up then went for the cookathon, then another person came up till date, you'd realize that there wasn't direct financial benefit attached to it. Now for the impact, how do we measure? How do we measure impact? How do we measure, the something which is happening in it that is not tangible for you to see? So except that we have been able to receive testimonials of maybe this person coming up to undertake the competition because it was Hilda whose competition inspired me. This person came, okay, then we are able to say, okay, this number of people have been able to do this because maybe Hilda started or continued or did this particular year whatsoever. So that is how it is. It wasn't. So sometimes impact can be so difficult to measure. Similarly, if for instance, I am speaking to inspire people and people are innately or inwardly motivated, how am I able to measure their emotions, So sometimes even the one leading the initiative is so difficult. The impact can be happening. The impact you intend to create can be happening. But how then do you even recognize that, okay, this impact is happening and this is how I'm going to measure it? So it's always been a very, very difficult thing to do, in social entrepreneurship when your impact is very difficult to measure. It's usually a very big deal. So yeah, that has been it. But thanks, lots of models, lots of frameworks are coming up to help people be able to measure these social impact, to be able to measure performances that are non-financial and non-numeric, and report same to the right, stakeholders. So that is it. And yeah, I don't know if you have maybe follow-up questions on it, but that is basically to throw more light on the
social enterprise concept. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I guess the question is, in terms of tracking impact, before your session came up, I was talking to one of the other speakers, Zita, and yeah, and she was, talking about how to build a purposeful business purposeful business that is good for the world or something like that. And we were discussing about it. And she was talking about how to track your work, track your impact and things like that. So yeah, there are some tools that you use to track to the last detail,
Yeah.
Other question is, come again?
Yeah, I'll just
So the other question would be, how vital, how vital are these, those metrics that you want to track, and your ability to analyze them and present them in such a way that they tell good story about the company. Because, the aim is to create something that would serve as an extended system for young people. Every social innovation creates either a change of attitude or a change of, prevailing circumstances. And then, of course, there is incidental impact. And of course, you need to track those impacts so that for better communication with your stakeholders. So are there tools that you guys use on a normal basis to, do impact measurement? And the third question would be, what do you track?
Mm.
You understand?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I think you've mentioned bits of actually what it's involved in the whole process. So we have social return on investment. So
Yeah.
like exactly, a tool like the social return on investment. I mean, this is something that helps us, to be able to measure returns that are non-financial, the non-financial components of an organization's
Yeah.
performance. So now this, like you mentioned, you usually kind of like focus on those particular elements. And to be frank with you, when each and every organization have what is dear to their heart, and this might vary from company to company. It might be informed by their stakeholders. For instance, if a social enterprise is receiving some support elsewhere, the kind of metrics that they are looking at might differ from another one because their stakeholders' interests differ. So someone might be more on social or uplifting people, in fact, eradicating, or dealing with a particular prevalent health issue. Another company might be dealing with environmental issue. So you would notice that the kind of metrics that each one of these will be looking at, or the extent to which the measure would actually differ. An example is Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, for instance, you would realize that they have, for many years, they have been they've stopped using single-use plastics, but recyclable ones in ways that reduces, um, plastic pollutions. And also they've been investing millions of dollars to help inventions through the net impact, circular plastics challenge and sustainable cities. They are very key sponsors of them. So for instance, for an organization like Net Impact that is bringing up startups and innovators together who have these brilliant ideas to be able to develop brilliant solutions that would help reduce plastic pollution. If they are receiving funding from a company like Coca-Cola that is particular about reducing plastic pollution, you would realize that most of the metrics that they will be measuring or they will be interested in will be related to how many companies, for instance, how many companies have they been able to help? How many of these companies have been able to thrive through after 5 years of operation, right? But they would not actually be measuring how many people are healthy after consuming maybe Coca-Cola whatsoever, because their main concern is not on what? Health, like individual health. Although, there are links between environmental wellness and, human wellness. So basically that is it. So each one of these metrics they differ. Each company differ. You can even be in the same industry, but it differ. So there is no one global or conclusive, tool across all social enterprises or impact organizations, or there's no one framework that we say that, okay, all organizations should use. But so what you do is you design a framework for measuring impact, and that framework is specific to that organization, and is based on how the operations of that organization and what their mission and what their core value is. And also that is also informed by their stakeholder, needs or impact needs. So usually each organization actually differ, and there are different frameworks for each, for each stakeholder. I don't know whether you get a concept. So yeah, it's similar to just SFAN and all that, just in case maybe if you want to measure an impact, there would be the need to create or design a framework that is actually specific to your needs and that of your stakeholders. And actually, like you mentioned, what is that thing that you want to report to? I mean, you want to report on. What is that? What is it that makes you feel that, okay, you have achieved what you exist to achieve as an organization? You get it? Yeah. So Chris, that is it. So yeah, one is the social return on investment as a tool, and this is yeah, a way of actually measuring or being able to calculate impact. Yeah.
Well, Martin, thank you very much. If you have those documents, the design process or whatever instrument that your team used to track impact, please share with me whenever you can. That would
Okay.
be really helpful.
Okay.
All right.
Okay,
Yeah.
that'll be great. I'll do that. I'll do
Okay.
that. Oh.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you too for the opportunity. It's great speaking with you. I wish you more energy and the strength to fight the sleep.
Yes.
And we'll talk more after this challenge. Okay.
You said? Make some more for me. Inshu, good morning from Ghana.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I am good. I am good. I can complain.
No, I'm sure the marathon is keeping you up from last
Yeah,
week.
it is. It is. It is keeping me up and testing everything in my body.
Ah, so that's
Yeah.
what marathon's all about, testing your limits.
Yeah, testing my limit and my goodness.
I've heard, I'm looking at the WhatsApp group from a couple of days and I'm seeing excitement with each speaker. And I'm sure, first, congratulations. You surpassed the highest. That's the first.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're going to create something which is so big that maybe the next one will think again. But yes, that's the first step.
Yes, absolutely.
Great.
So how did you hear about this?
Oh, yes. I think a dear friend of mine, Christina, I believe she was the one who told me about this. And she just said it's a interview marathon. And I was like wondering what kind of marathon is that? And I am a marathon runner myself, not the full, but at the half and 10K. So I said, why not give it this shot? Because after a hiatus of about 5 to 6 years, I ran my marathon this month only in October beginning. And so I said that let me end the October with another marathon. So that's how I came on board.
Mr. Ensho, could you please repeat what you said?
Yes, I can. I was just saying that Christina is the person who made me aware of this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was all about the word marathon because
Yeah.
I've been a marathon runner myself. And
Oh, yeah?
I run the half a couple of times and the 10K often. But after a 5 years gap, I ran.
Yeah. Christina, she is an amazing person. And I'm so thankful to you as well for, joining this marathon. My aim is to reach to 96 hours. I hope I can make it. And yeah, I'm allowed to also sleep, but it's just a few minutes. Yeah, 20 minutes. Within that, I must brush my mouth. Um, but yeah, let's see. Let's see. So for your session, it says failure, culture, brand marketing, and startups. Yeah, you left. Did you leave? Listen, your life is good though.
Hi again. Can you hear me, Tom?
So your topic is failure culture, brand marketing, and startups.
Yes.
I'm glad. Please introduce yourself and we can rock and roll.
All right. So normally when introduction happens, I use just one line of introduction. Professionally, I'm a global marketer,
Okay.
passionately a business storyteller,
All
and
right.
and obsessively, I'm a people and a brand builder. So that's my introduction.
Right. Right. That's amazing. Okay. So talk to us about failure culture. Um, are you encouraging people to fail? Are you
No. So failure culture is a little different. It's not that you encourage people to fail. You encourage people to fail well. Basically, primarily, it's all about not just failing, but acknowledging that a failure has happened. And beyond that failure, accepting that once the failure has happened, what's your response, how you
Mhm.
take it up, and how you fail fast, how you fail forward, and how you fail well. So normally what happens is when failure happens, people move to the rejection mode and resilience dies, and then people don't want to do and pursue that again. But it's not that you really fail and you pick up the dangerous terrain. But failing well is a art and a skill and a science behind it. So my encouragement is around knowing that a failure will happen. It is inevitable. You can't avoid a failure. It's a universal thing. It can be happening to anyone, and anyone who is courageous enough to take the risk of doing new things will always have a situation of a failure. So how to really manage that failure at that point of time is what I am all about. So that's what I encourage people to do is fail well.
So if I understand, it's not a celebration of failure, but acknowledging that it happens sometimes and then taking the lessons from there to improve the business.
Um, Acknowledgement and celebration are two things. You do not
Oh,
celebrate failures. So what you do is you celebrate the sharing of the failures. So once the failure has happened, you share the failure and you celebrate that moment so that people can grow. It's all about that. It's not that you celebrate the failure and you go berserk in terms of, oh, I failed and stuff. But what you go and do ahead is that you go to like-minded people with whom you can share the failure.
want to get the best from our conversation, so I'm gonna stand. Um, just in case I'm tempted to sleep.
No
So
problem.
yeah, thank you very much. So when it comes to brand marketing and for startups, what essentially is the secrets that companies and business owners should keep in
See,
mind?
most of the time, I'm getting pushed out again. I'm not so sure why, but then
I don't know. I don't know if it's from our side or from your side, but
I'm on a
yeah,
line Wi-Fi. But anyway, it should be better now.
yeah,
Brand marketing and startup is what you asked me, Tom. So essentially,
yes,
when you look at brand marketing per se, normally people understand it to be an exercise where it's just a logo. And that's not true, because when you look at the brand itself, it is a story in itself which unfolds over a period of time. So for
right.
startups, essentially knowing that how to unfold that story is very critical. And that's what my focus is when I'm dealing with startups, and how I'm dealing with startups to really build their brand, essentially.
That's impressive. So, what is the central message about brand marketing that many people don't understand?
Central message for who, Tom? For brand marketeers or for the people
Um,
who are building the brands?
yeah, the owners of the brand, the individuals that are marketing the brand.
So it's an important exercise. The core message is that start looking at a brand by identifying your purpose first. Knowing your why leads you to the next step in a brand. And it's very essential for one to really know that once I am clear on why I exist, something inevitable that I will never give up as a startup or as a company or as a person. And knowing that why, leading up stuff around that is what brand marketing is all about. And the core message is to really identify that why first before you can get into the next step of brand marketing.
Great. So, but of course, brand marketing in this simplistic, if I should say simplistic view, is to create equity for the company and goodwill. So how can I, as a brand owner, capture this goodwill in a way that's is cost effective for the company?
So, okay, now it's a process. It's not that you start building the brand and it happens on day zero and day one. You can't suddenly go that. And there are various steps when you, as a person or as an equity build for a brand happens. So you actually will start following that process, and you build up your frameworks. Once you have the frameworks in place, then you start communicating the core message so that people understand what this brand stands for. Living up to your promise, managing that brand from the delivery, ensuring that your product is living day in, day out of the framework that you have created, and ensuring that the customers or the consumers both uh, understand what you stand for and what you will deliver is the equity build up process. And you do it slow, and then comes many other issues surrounding the brand. It's not a simple exercise where you actually just go and say that this is a logo, this is a website, this is my media, this is my product and service, and that's not where it ends. It starts from here. It's a journey which you undertake. And being a startup or being a company or being a personal brand, also you start living in that journey and start communicating and telling the best in that form. uh, what I've observed is that the best way to really communicate with a brand is about telling those stories, telling your small brand stories, which can be an umbrella, and then making a narrative which lives up to your purpose, drives people to build up the trust. It brings up the equations of people believing in what you are, and also then going ahead and buying your products and services. That's what the process does. And you start building the equity with a number of people who consume, and slowly enough then you start becoming a brand and you have an equity build. Now that equity is a long-term process and a long-term gain, and how you save that and how you use it for the next steps to really grow the brand is the next thought that you really develop on. And that's where innovation comes. That's where the pillar of why comes very handy, because that's what you started with. And it's that process continues. It's a long-term process. It's a lifelong process. You build the equity slow, and then you gain on that equity and you cash on that equity. A lot of work happens, and there are so many experts for various industries who work on this field. They provide a lot of angles around it. And sometimes what happens is that when you start living into that world too often, there are moments that you need to really come out of the box and think in that arena by taking a step back and thinking out of the box. So that process also involves a lot of monitoring and how you want to think differently and think in a growth method. That's what brand process and equity build is.
All right. So now we've created the brand, we've excuse me, we've communicated with the company stakeholder, and we are capturing the brand with innovative products that are unique in the marketplace. Now, the other question will be, how do you maintain a going concern, alignment with your stakeholder in the market?
So what you do is, once you have the brand and you have a service in play, well, you get onto the journey. And once you're doing that, you start telling shorter forms of stories where you're communicating the message of what the brand stands for. Then you have a journey of creating so many multiple touch points where people engage in that. You map the customer journey too, because you have your own journey. Then you map it against the customer journey, because you realize that's how the customer is going to move in his daily agenda. And you figure out which are the multiple interaction points where customer will engage with you as a brand. Now, how you act at that moment, or how you deliver the message at that moment, matters a lot. So that's where your game will be. And that's what the brand messaging and brand storytelling comes in hand. And you actually start picking up those interaction points and look at those multiple points of engagement where you can bring people and brand talk to each other. What is also important is, Tom, that when you are looking at these engagements and interactions, you build a conversation. You don't become one-sided. And when you become one-sided, then you lose the game. So you really need to be very careful at that moment of interactions to be double-sided, and you have that conversation play. And that's where the communication comes handy. So brand communication also gets very, very pivotal in that customer and the brand journey to really go on. Beyond the stakeholders, there will be another audience which normally people ignore. And that audience is the internal audience of the company or the brand itself, which is the employees. So there is a lot of efforts today also where employer branding is another method that people are deploying. And that's another journey altogether. Yes.
Okay. So you've designed the user journey, personal and the customer journey. And
Absolutely.
now, yes, and now conversion is happening probably. So
Sorry.
conversion is happening. So, and I'm guessing the next step is to document what works and what doesn't work. Am I right?
Yes, that's also right, because you continuously monitor yourself and you start looking at various ways to figure out what has worked, what has not worked. Yes.
And so the question becomes, what is it that people get wrong in this process?
Sometimes people don't even monitor. Sometimes the issue gets really large because you have not been capturing the feedback mechanism, and that's where you lose. So it also leads to an important point here that you picked up, that, from a failure culture perspective, there is something called fail forward. So in that process, you definitely need to capture what did you decide to do, what actually happened, and what's next, and what was the deviation. So this process of not capturing is a very difficult process. And it can't be an easy way to really manage the brand or the feedback. It has to be a proper process where you interact at various touch points, like I said, in the customer journey. And then there will be certain points where you will actually develop systems where you're on a daily and a monitoring basis, or you've built up a frequency where you're capturing the really action of the consumer who you were interacting with, and then feel out what is going right or wrong. And that process is it's a lifelong process along with the brand journey. You cannot avoid it, and that's the most critical pivotal way. That's why a lot of companies have customer service agents who are there. Whenever you open an interaction, you have a block which says contact us. Facing a problem, reach out to us. These are the various things which people really get into, and that's what the feedback and mechanism to really capture what's going wrong is. Now, once you've captured that process, what do you do with it? You can't suddenly just keep capturing this data. The whole thing is that there has to be someone in the system to really look at that data and give an answer that what is going wrong and what's the deviation. And that measure of deviation and going for the root cause of the deviation is the method. And when people know the root cause, then they can act upon the root cause and develop methods to really avoid that. That's strategically managing the feedback.
Okay. So my final question will be, how do you attribute the success of these activities to the particular stages of the process?
Success of what activities are you saying?
Now we are talking about the brand marketing,
Yes.
the various processes that you went through. Is it possible to attribute the success of each stage, right?
100%.
If you are
100%.
tracking, right?
And so now what do you do? Where, for example, one of the activities of a brand is social media marketing. Okay.
Yeah.
And when you're doing social media marketing, how do you measure your success? What's the return of investment? You measure your success by engagement, and you see how many likes you got, how many conversations did you build. This is on the cursory brand effect, that how many people really liked what you communicated, how many people really engage with you during that communication. But for everything, in addition, what brand marketers also do is put a kind of a small call to action. Call to action is a very pivotal thing. So you really figure out that, and like I said, brand is all about conversation. Call to action is about leading to that conversation. So what happens is that when you lead an answer to that call to action, where people do something, once you have landed a conversation, that's the best measure you have. It's the best starting point for the first measure, because you've got that person to engage with you. So lot many methods are deployed at every process and every step for a brand to really see whether a qualitative measure can be applied or a quantitative measure could be applied. And it's both. A qualitative itself directly is the equity that you build for the brand. You were asking that question of brand equity. So all qualitative gains that you gain from an activity for a brand or the brand journey is all the build of the equity of the brand that you keep doing. Quantitative is all the measure that you put on your investment, that this is the return that I wanted from my investment, and you equate it to that. Sometimes quantity is also rippling effect to the qualitative effect, because that's how the brand equity builds, with qualitative and quantitative both. So at every step of interaction for a brand, you build certain methods to really see And it's easy to attribute then success to that. With the digital media, it has become much easier, because with digital media, one, you have the same process of failing fast, because you can test out some messages which are not working for you, and then you can really change the message and add new message, and that's what the measure is. And at the same time, you can actually then have a very nice method of engagement, because then people know how it happens. Today, most of the brand marketeers are on the effect of doing social media influencer work. They are in the ways of using various emerging medias available. All traditional methods, which were little bit of not measurable, standardized directly, are becoming direct measurable to the success. With the adding of the emerging digital media, now you can, any interaction that you do for the brand, you can measure. You can measure the success as per the parameter you set. And that's where the out of the box thinking happens at brand marketing.
I got it.
Sorry?
I get what you said.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the build that you do.
Yeah. Okay. If is this easy, why doesn't every business do it that way?
Every business leader knows, and by the way, every business leader uses. It's not that everyone can do it the best way. So you need to have experts who are experienced and know the roads around to really facilitate. So, ask anyone who opens a business, the first thing that guy does after registering the company is to look for the logo for the company.
Yeah.
And it's mandatory. So you have started your brand journey from day zero. Logo is the first starting point. But to make that logo, it takes a lot of effort at the back to really think how to do. Now, what happens is with various methods, people are making logos on their own today, just to move away from that. But then they realize that, oh, this logo has no meaning itself. This logo does not have a story in it. So you evolve the logo alongside. Go back to any of the logos, pick up Apple's logo, pick up Nike's logo, you see a journey of how the logos have moved also. So coming to that point, nobody avoids the brand work. It's not that they can avoid this work. Everybody knows it's pivotal. Everybody knows that it is also the starting point after opening a company and moving ahead. So that very standard. It's not so easy to do. You need experts to help you do it.
When you do brand consulting for a company, what do you focus on the most?
So my first focus is to really bring the people who are involved with the brand on one common ground. My first starting point is to get them to a common ground.
Yeah.
My focus is to make sure that everybody in the room or everybody who's involved in this to get to be aware of what that brand equation will be part of the process, and agree to the process of what we are doing, of what we are starting to do. And once that agreement has happened, and once that everybody has reached to a common ground, then I slowly, subtly, without using technicalities, in simple ways, my focus is to get them on that journey. So I start by building up certain questions, bringing the whole team to co-create. My whole agenda is on co-creation. It's never that one person does and the other person just listens to it. Everyone has to be involved. Most relevant ones have to be involved in the process. And once that journey begins, then everybody contributes. We agree. Co-creation leads to the point of the sprint. And so that everybody, when they go out of that room, are able to tell one common story. What does that brand stand for? That's the starting point of the exercise.
Yeah. And so this story is one story for every time, or um, depends on who I talk to.
Your master story remains same, which is the
Okay.
umbrella and the overarching, and then you have multiple stories which happen for the audiences for various situations, various scenarios, and for also depending on when you are telling that story. And once that is done, it forms the umbrella arch for the brand story. It's a brand story is a multitude of stories which bring them into one story level. So it's not that one common story that goes on. So every element has its own play. I may have a strategy story because it's important, and it should be that what is my strategy? What do I stand for? Everybody in the company should spell it out. Tomorrow you're working in a company and ask you, Tom, what do you do? So he says, I'm working for this company. Oh, what does that company do? So when you answer that, it should be common across all the employees of the organization. That's the story you tell when someone asks you, what does your company do? And it's not necessarily going to be the story which will talk about the engagement that the brand is doing at a next level. But that one common ground which is set is the one which people tell. And then there are many, many other stories which build the narrative for the brand.
Okay. So in building this story, are there like where do you extract the core messaging from? The products or the culture?
The purpose. The core message comes from the purpose of your existence, because the product and all the other things are offshoots of that purpose. Now, if I ask you this simple question, Tom, and there's a small exercise which is for you. Why do you think you exist, Tom? And why did you choose to do it, this Guinness Book of World Records? If I just say that, Tom, tell me what you stand for. Who are you?
I exist to help young people unlock their potential. And then I'm doing this to create a platform for entry-level job seekers. Oh no, I'm doing this to mobilize resources that will help create a platform for entry-level job seekers to upskill and become of higher value when looking for gainful and meaningful work.
So now if I know this part of Tom, which says that I'm looking at a world where the new entry job seekers level find what their mission vision is and they do something what they love, right? That's what Tom stands for. That's what Tom is existing for. My agenda in life is to make people find that journey where they can make their careers out of what they love, right? If that is what your story is, you'll start from there building your brand. And this Guinness Book of World Record fits in there because you're building a repository of 96 hours of interviews where you have people who are experts in various fields, maybe can then find their message or their passion from these experts who are now talking about 96 topics. They're talking about that agenda, and you are building that repository of a ground where people can access this invaluable information, and you're creating that newer thing. It's not just that you're suddenly thinking I should do this 55 or and surpass that interview number which exists in the world. That could be one, but the thing which was behind you, which motivated you, was the challenge, which is where you are, the challenge itself. But at the same time, it was aligning well with why Tom exists in this world. So that's the first step. I would always work with the brand from that first step. And that's the most pivotal thing. It's not the product or it's not the service which matters, because all the things that you do after that is an outcome of that core purpose, which is why. So, I mean, Simon Sinek, if you have read the book called Start With Why, I
Right.
recommend that. That's the book one should go for to really find that. And another
Yeah.
thing, I'm a big fan of few Japanese methods, and one of the Japanese method is called finding your ikigai. So if you find your ikigai, and there's a process behind it. So if you find your ikigai, your purpose is easy to really develop. Be it a person, be it a brand, and combining it with start with why, it's a great way to begin.
Now I have one more question. Now I've gotten to a point where I feel like I'm comfortable. I want to reinvent. How do I reinvent?
How do I reinvent my process, my product, or how do I take it to the next level? Is that the question?
Yeah, the next level.
Absolutely. The next level happens when you have reached to a particular point and maybe you achieved your milestone. So you start the process by building up from not grounds up, but from the base that you are. And again, you will go back to your why. Why do I exist? How can I make my offering, or how can I make myself better available to the customer? But now you're more prepared. Why you're more prepared? Because your brand has been trustworthy. People are trusting. There is an audience that really trusts you. They have used your product and service, so they know what you stand for. Now you're in a state where you know that there is something which you are creating. It is mattering a lot. That's why you're thinking of the growth. Now, if that works, then you start thinking from that base as you're starting, not from scratch. And then you start looking at how can I get better. And look at the way people think about each brand and product in front of you. And when you start putting it behind this logic that you reinvent only when you think your purpose is clear and you're now moving to the next level of offering because you have found some better base now, that's an answer to your obvious build. And now what happens is that many great companies, that's why I have innovation center or an R&D center that they say. In pharma it is understandable, in healthcare it's understandable, because you start looking at better ways to get better. You make lives better and you save lives, and then better medicines, better patents, better research, and it's easy to equate in scientific related ways. And when it comes to a simple thing like a shoe, for example, what would I start looking at reinventing the shoe is how can I go back? Nike's way is to probably say explore the impossible, right? Go beyond your limits, and that's what it says, performance. So they always will look at reinventing around performance. So they will look at ways to really get better in the performance. They will find out ways how can I make my shoe more comforting? And that's why if you see Nike Air, then you look at the Nike Air's next level, which has come with those always talking about how comfortable it would be as if you're walking in air and as if you're running in air, and your performance gets better because you don't realize what's the weight around the shoe and the shoe is as light. So that's what they really focus on. So you figure out what you stand for, and now you're in a better position, and you invent internally to really externally offer something which could make the same purpose in a better way. That's how things happen. That's how cars get better. Why did automatic came from manual? Because we thought that, why spend the time when you shifting the gears when it can automatically happen, and it can be a better control. It's safety too, because automatically the car runs to gear 1, because if it's slowing down, if it's moving fast, it keeps moving up the gears, and it always has a method of safety. They said, okay, let's look at convenience and safety both. So that's how the cars got better. That's how your engines got better. They become more efficient. And that's how EV also came, because we said that it has to be a sustainable world. So can we have better fuel to make my cars better? And that's how the electric cars have come. Now there is a lot of conversation in the same mobility space. People are talking about mobility and driverless. So thinking, why not bring something which is beyond imagination as safety? Driverless has been used to really peg the proposition of safety. though it's not yet fulfilled. That's why it's not in the market so much. You see it in few markets, you don't see it everywhere, because there is still a concern of how safe they are. And look at that way they are progressing and moving on reinvention. So reinvention is a kind of an ingrained process. You cannot remain the same because your external environments always change. When the external environment change, more and more people start offering the same service. You need to get better because you already got a head start. And that's the build that you keep doing.
Okay. Okay. So why do brands die?
Why do? Sorry?
Die.
I didn't get what your question was, sorry.
Why do brands die?
Oh, why do brands die?
Hmm.
Multiple reasons. Brands can die because of the proposition not being equated right, losing the purpose. The environment was so strong that you forgot to reinvent. You do not have investment and understanding and knowing your customer. You did not read your customer. You did not listen to the feedback, and brands can die. Look at Nokia. Nokia as a mobile phone forgot to read the customers and say that they are looking at much more than just connecting people. The Nokia's message was connecting people, and they said that it's more than connection that the world is now wanting. They're wanting everything to converge, and they refuse to become a brand which would feel that it's converged. So today Nokia is an infrastructure brand. It's not a mobile device brand. It's a very it died its own length and breadth. But do you know, you still love Nokia? Always when you speak to people of the generation who have used Nokia, will always say, oh, I still love the game Snake, for example. I still like the Nokia as a brand. I still love the mobile phone of Nokia. And it's all because they spent great time on building that brand. But then why did they die? They forgot to converge. They forgot to bring everything together. And today there are some devices which now do, but then nobody's wanting to go back to Nokia because other brands don't wait. They will not wait. They came in, they took over, and they brought in a different way for people to really consume mobility in a very different way. But the simple phone, which was of Nokia 6110, people still love it. They will still find that nice phone which was there in their hand. And there are some brands which are still, and there are some markets where the simple phone still exists. Emerging markets, there are places, and there are also developed markets where people still find a lot of merit in using the same simple phone. But that's how brands die. That's one of the examples. The other example is also the point where brands forget to just go into a thing which is changing so drastic enough outside in the external world that they don't align themselves to it. They don't align the change. They are not able to read what the future stands for it, and they die from that perspective. Sometime or the other, your brands that you create are so non-equated to the customer need that they die because the customer feels that it's a useless thing to offer. You know, there is a museum of failure in US which showcases all the brands that have been failed till now, and you can see things like, or innovations or inventions that have failed. One should visit that site and see that, you know, you will be able to see things like, I remember one of the example was a Hawaii chair. You know, what does a Hawaii chair stand? Some years back in 2007, there was this wave that sitting is the new smoking. Your health gets deteriorated because you keep sitting for so many hours. So someone thought of it and said that most of the people are sitting, so why not I create a chair where people can actually be healthy, because the chair was a vibrating, self-rotating chair. You know, and people loved it in the beginning. It was $350 when it was launched. And when the chair started moving and stuff, people were unable to sit against the desk. Imagine a situation where you are working on a desk, and you are attending to call and work, and the chair is vibrating so hard that you will fall down. So the chair died it in 4 years. There were so many purchases which happened for that chair because health fad was the thing. But then the products failed because you did not read the customer or did not measure the external environment very clearly. So that's a reason, and there are many reasons why brands will die.
Ah, that was good.
And
Yeah.
like I said, brand is a journey, Tom.
Yeah.
You start building up, you start doing it, and when you sign up for brand building, you sign up for some serious stuff. You don't sign up for casual, just a logo. I always repeat myself on this one because most of people think it's either a color, it's a font, or a logo, and the work finishes. But that's not where the work finishes. It starts from there because your brand stands for something and you have to live it to up every single day. You have to, not just you have to make sure that every employee who's working for that brand starts living up to it. And a lot of people make sure that it is engaging. You look at the various ways where people are activating brand today. Experiential experiences with the brand have become the nice way. Digital is doing a nice method. It's moved from simple traditional advertising and promotion to experiential engagement at a different points, which are subtly there already in the customer journey. And brands is a very interesting stuff, a very creative stuff, a very pertinent strategic stuff. And as you mentioned a few times in this, it's not simple. It is something which has a science and an art behind it both. And you need to be really subtle today to be a good brand. You cannot be on the face. To be a brand at the moment when because customer has become very intelligent, consumer is more informed, and when he is more informed, he knows his choices very clearly. And post COVID, all the more reason, because people have realized and created different meaning for brands and their lives. Now when people have understood lives very differently because they saw so much of harsh reality, they have started engaging with brands very differently. So one should be really very careful when he's communicating today, because the world has changed after 2020. The brand work has changed after 2020. So that's how things should be. And the exercise is a very, very consuming exercise. It's a long journey. It's a slow process, but there is a strategy behind it and it's doable. It just works.
Thank you.
All right. And all the best. Have some more
Thank you
coffee
very much.
and let's see how the thing pans out tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All the best.
I would I will take some break and yes, thank you.
All right. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
But more than a pet with the most expensive trade block and brightest smiles on the planet continue to be infantilized and plundered? The answer is simple. Our education system, the bridge from misery to hope, and the promise of progress is broken. Kids go to school and fill their brains with outdated information and data that has zero real-world relevance. And then the administrators send them off like robots to search for jobs that do not exist. 6 years later, they're still carrying CVs from office to office. As a for-youth, by-youth company, Stars from All Nations understands these challenges firsthand, and we figured out a way to help Africa's teeming youth population become globally competitive and win. It's simple. We create frameworks and support services that help Africa's young geniuses to unlock their potentials, and in turn, act as catalysts to help others live on their terms. Our epic ASFAN events bring the leaders around the world in the same room with young people to spark meaningful conversations. Our Ready for Work Digital Career Accelerator makes use of artificial intelligence and machine learning to equip job seekers with skills, create easy career pipelines for them, and help recruiters make data-driven decisions. ASFAN also provides businesses and individuals with on-demand services that help them actualize their dreams and thrive. Our target market is worth over $130 billion, and this number could receive at least 60% upside in the next 5 years. ASFAN is rightly positioned to capture more than 20% of this market. We are the education company for the young and ambitious thinker.
Nine, 35.
Hi, my name is Kezia Omoye Owusanwa, a gallery associate, an art practitioner, a social media marketer, and a PhD candidate at the Department of Painting and Sculpture, KNUST. I've been in the art and media industry for 12 years, and I developed interest in digital marketing. The Ready for Work platform provided an opportunity for me to develop new and advanced skill sets. I learned to believe in myself, and I learned how to use design thinking to drive innovation. I developed essential social media marketing skills to drive sales, enhance audience engagement, and build a community around a brand. Ready for Work has helped me develop confidence in my job search and has given me a lot of job opportunities. If you are looking for a job, you want to develop a new set of skills, you want to complement your degree, I recommend Ready for Work Digital Career Accelerator.
Ready for Work World 4 has been a great experience, very insightful. I've learned a lot of things I actually didn't know that I thought I knew. And then I recommend this course, this program, for anyone out there who seeks to pursue a career in the digital marketing field.
Invigorating. That's how I would sum up my Ready for Work Career Accelerator program. Through the coaching sessions, curriculum, and deliverables, I gained confidence in my ability to provide strategic direction on companies' products and services from a user experience point of view. I highly recommend Ready for Work Career Accelerator program to young professionals looking for results-oriented